Hi, it's Lucy here, and I want to create with this one little die today. It's part of a set of slimline scalloped dies that coordinate with these stitched rectangle slimline dies also. And you may have something similar in your stash, or you can use other items to create these cards, but let's take a look at how gorgeous a couple of the cards turned out already. And then I have two more cards to create and show. I used some beautiful fall PET rolls today with the die. This second card, I used only one of the tapes and I die cut two of the pieces with tape on it, and the middle one was blank, but it felt too bare on the sides, so I added a bit of tape to each end. And this card is my son's favourite, but my least favourite. It's funny how everyone always has a different favourite, isn't it? So first I have some white card that's a little wider than my die, and I'll add a strip of the 5 PET tapes I have here. I'll cut them longer too, just to make sure they go all the way across, but if you want to save as much of the tapes as you can add it directly to the white card and then cut the rest off. It's best to cut a slither of the backing off the end and then use the sticky bit of the tape to close it up. And when you use it again, you don't have to pry the tape and backing from each other because they're different lengths. And I hope this makes sense, as it's really difficult to explain. These are really easy to peel off. I haven't had any issues anyway, but I always roll the tape off the backing with my thumb like this. I'll try to space each strip so they're easy to cut between each one. And once I've added the 5 strips of tape to the white paper, which by the way, the paper weight is about 250 GSM, but you can use any weight. I wouldn't use printer paper though. The thicker the paper is, the more luxurious it looks. And now I can start cutting each strip off so I can die cut them with my scallop slimline die. I can use scraps of the tape to keep my die in place, as it's important that it doesn't move much for these cards. And I only add this spare piece of tape to the die and outside of the die, so I don't have to peel it off my die cut afterwards. Generally, it's easier to remove PET tape off other PET tape, as they are a type of thin plastic rather than paper, which paper would be very difficult to remove. At the same time I die cut the rectangles, I'll die cut the sentiment, as I want to double layer the sentiment. I could have an issue as the gold card is very thick and may not cut all the way through without a shim of sorts. So I'll give it a go, check it over afterwards, as I can always pop it back through with the next one, but it cuts perfectly, so it's all good. I love using my pokey tool for this. I used to use a needle, and since I've had this pink pokey tool, it's just been amazing. It's so good. So when I try to die cut the brown cardstock, which is 300 GSM with the little thankful sentiment, that needs to go through the machine again with some scrap printer paper doubled over. I probably could have fiddled with it to take all the pieces out, and it was cut through enough, but I found that often it's quicker to pop it back through the die cutting machine, as it will then easily detach all the pieces rather than sit there fiddling with it. So now, just like with this card, I'm going to make a similar one so you can see exactly how I made this one, but it will have differences, so you can decide which you like best. For instance, this card I used brown cardstock underneath and a gold ink for the background, but with the one I'm about to make, I'll add gold borders underneath and a white background. A little tip is, I've found when using metallic card and paper, and I use it a lot, it's very important to keep a clean uncut top die cutting plate. Metallics will show up marks, so I recommend only cutting on one of the plates and keep the top plate clean, no cutting on it at all. And this will protect your papers from unwanted embossing and marks. I'll rearrange each floral piece on some white card that's the same size as my card front. I don't want the same floral design next to each other, and with 5 different tapes that shouldn't be a problem, but you could just use one tape and have each piece all the same design. That might look really nice as well. So I'm not going to tape down each complete floral piece onto the gold piece, as I want the gold jutting out from different sides and the bottom. That way I know where to cut the pieces and where to add it to the gold pieces. And I'll use double-sided tape to tape them together, and each time I'll pop them back in place so they don't get mixed up on the card front. I will have these tapes down in the description box, a link to them in case you're interested. And I also have a discount code for them. And they're from Journal Say, and they have a big sale on at the moment and for this weekend. If you're interested in going to take a look, they also have free international shipping for orders over $29 as well. And you can always find so many gorgeous things there. I've got so many new things to play with. It's fun. I'll also have this scallop die set, rectangle die set, and the sentiment dies as well in the description box below in case you're interested. But I really haven't used many items on these cards, and you can make so many. So once they're all taped to the gold backgrounds, I can go ahead and tape them down permanently onto the card. And I'm not a perfectionist, but I do try to keep a similar size gap between all the pieces. And once I've finished adding all the pieces, I'll turn it over and cut off all the overhanging bits. And this is when it starts looking lovelier. I'll add it to the card front with the double-sided tape, and I've only taken 2 pieces of the tape backing off the right hand side so I can line up the folded line on the left, and this really helps me to be able to easily line up the card front with the card piece. I'll double layer the sentiment using a glue pen, which comes in handy for intricate dies like this gorgeous thankful sentiment. I haven't had this die long and I've already been using it a lot. You've probably seen it on my videos already. I love the font and it's so easy to die cut. The reason behind adding a second layer to the sentiment is so that it'll stand out more against the busy background. It shows more in real life, I think, but my 4th card shows a different way of using it too. I'll add an acrylic block to make sure the sentiment and glue dries flat on the card, and then let's take a look at the leftovers. And I can't help but wonder if I can get another card out of them rather than throwing them away, and of course I can, so I'll show that shortly. I didn't record it as I wasn't sure if I'd have enough for another card and how it'd turn out, but I love it. But in the meantime, here's this finished card, and what do you think of it? I used to think these scallop dies could only really be used as borders underneath rectangles, but I've finally come to realize they're gorgeous on their own too, and I'll create more like this in the future with other products like pattern papers and more different tapes. Maybe even some Christmas ones would be nice. So let's take a look at all of the cards. These are the 3 that I originally created. And then with the leftovers, here's the card that I made. I added some layers underneath them, just using plain white card. I did 2 layers underneath each one, just so that they had a bit of added height against the background. I double layered the sentiment, plus I also used the shadow die, which comes with the die. Isn't it lovely? I also added some Nouveau drops on this card. I hope you love these cards, and I'd love to hear if you have a favourite. If you use any of the links in the description box to purchase anything, it won't cost you more, and in fact it can cost you less, as I have a discount code that can be used when they have sales on too, but I may receive a small commission as well, so thank you if you choose to shop through me. It really helps me keep my YouTube channel going. Also, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and feel free to share it with your friends. A big hug and thanks to Cassie, who generously used the super thanks button to support my channel again and always leaves me lovely comments. I hope you're subscribed, as I'm coming up to 20,000 subscribers, which means lots of prizes, and I'm so excited to give them all away. But that's it for this video. I have another one here. If you need more ideas, just click on the thumbnail. Have a fabulous weekend. Happy crafting, and bye for now.